It's time for another Q&A again because you guys had some interesting questions to say the least. Let's get right into it. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk It Over. If your house is burning and you could only take one photo with you, which one would it be and why? Coming in hot with the good questions right there. Let me think. To be honest, I think I would grab my archive of negatives. But if you really want a photo, then I think it would be this prayer card from my grandfather. And of course, I have this photo scanned and I got the negative, but because this was from my grandfather's funeral, it has a little bit more emotional value. What medium format camera do you use and why? At the moment, the only medium format camera that I use is the Mamiya RB67. This has been my trusted companion for portraits for the last 6, maybe 7 years. I even dropped it on a concrete and it still works. Well, the lens broke, but I got some replacements for cheap. It could use a service, but I've got a project coming up soon where I test out different medium format cameras to see which one fits my workflow the best. So stay tuned and subscribe because you don't want to miss out on that. Third question, do you develop and scan your film yourself? I don't develop my film, but I do scan it. I've got a couple of episodes where I explain my whole workflow, but in short, I use the gear from Negative Supply with a Canon EOS R and a 100mm macro lens. After scanning, I convert them in Lightroom with the plugin Negative Lab Pro. I'll link the episodes down below in the description if you're interested. How did you first get into film photography? Well, I might not seem that old, but I was born before the revolution of digital cameras. So film was around me all the time because my parents photographed everything. The first camera that I got as a kid was this Minolta. So yeah, it was this Minolta, which is of course also a film camera. Still got it, which is nice. By the way, let me know if you want me to put some rolls through that camera, if it still works. And after that, I've always been shooting film, but it has been my main thing for maybe the last decade or so. What has been your career path and how can I improve my skills with a film camera? Should I learn lighting? Okay, to sum up my career path quickly, I started photographing people around me, artists from the neighborhood, and while doing that I made a decision to start my education, my study for photography. And after finishing that, I started my own business in 2015. Done a lot of corporate work, portraits in the studio and commercials, but around 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I started to follow my passion for photography and start this YouTube channel. And here we are right now, growing the channel and chasing my dream. The best way to improve your skills as a photographer in general is to just keep photographing. Learn by doing. Also, learning about light is always good, but also don't forget about compositions and catching the right moment. Timing is everything, but it depends a little bit about what you like to photograph, of course. What does a portrait cost? That's the same thing as going to a car dealer and asking about what a car costs. Do you want a new Mercedes or do you want a second-hand Toyota? It really depends on what you want. Maybe a simple portrait in the studio, or do you want a full blown out photo shoot in the Bahamas? But just send me a DM and we can work something out if you're interested. What sharpening settings do you use in Lightroom? Well, that's very simple. I just put clarity and texture to +10 and a sharpening between 70 and 80 because I really like my grain to be present. What part of the Netherlands are you from? The south. Film speeds, are they important to you? For a new episode, I've been shooting some slow film speeds and I can tell you, I hate it. I really need my Portra 800. So to answer your question, yes, it's important to me. A lot of times I find myself in situations where I either have not that much light or I have fast moving subjects. Do you also shoot digital or film only, and do you like Fujifilm recipes? For commercial or client work I sometimes have to shoot digital, at least at the moment. But everything else is 100% film. And of course, for filming these episodes I use a digital camera too, which is the Canon EOS R5C with the 28 or most of the time it's the 28-70 f2, which is a beast, but a beautiful lens. I think those Fujifilm recipes are amazing for people who just like to shoot JPEGs and don't want to edit them afterwards. And I really think that they look great. What is a good monitor for editing photos on? I've been using my ISO 2700 something, the color edge one, for years now. And in my opinion, those color edge monitors are the best. I could go into all the specs and why I love it so much, but the most important part for me is that what I see on my monitor is what I also will get on my prints. And I could use different profiles to see how it would look like on a different screen or whatever. But you have to know, you don't know what screen the other person is watching your photo or your content on. And all screens are definitely not the same. So having a monitor that's calibrated to true colors and contrast is just a must to me. Mine has a built-in calibration device, which is awesome too, but they are pricey, so I do not recommend these to, let's say, everyone. So if you are looking for a monitor, the one thing that I would definitely recommend is that you have a 99% at least Adobe RGB coverage. Don't settle for just a sRGB monitor. But if you want to invest in a good monitor for years, check out the ISO Color Edge lineup. Would you recommend setting up a print shop for selling prints? Any golden tips? Yeah, go for it. I think it's good for a photographer to have a place where they can sell their work. I think that this helps you to grow as an artist, but don't expect to sell a lot of prints immediately. And this is mostly because you have to build an audience to sell your prints too. But I think that you can start this and set up a print shop for not that big of an investment. So my golden tip would be not to just set up a print shop, but also to build an audience which you can sell your prints to. And everyone, go take a look at my own print shop to see if there's something that you like. If you buy a print from me, it goes a long way in supporting me and the channel. And with that being said, thanks everyone for sending in those questions. Make sure you follow me on Instagram so you don't miss out on the next Q&A, and I'll see you next week. Peace!